I made a post today that said your intuition is strategic. And I think this is kind of hard to believe for a lot of us, right? We think of intuition as some like emotional, woo woo, out there, airy fairy thing. But I want to let you know that your intuition is practical and it is a lot better at planning, at getting you to where you want to be than just using your mind or your logical or emotional mind. So we're going to jump into this. If you're anything like me, you have goals, but you have desires, but it can be really hard to get to achieving them in an easeful way, right? There's the hustle, we're hustling to achieve them, or, we're having trouble with procrastination. And so I want you to know that there's an easier way, and it has to do with your intuition. I want to first off start by saying, we live in a very consumer-driven culture, and we think of goals as like products, like we have to produce something. We're very product oriented, like we have to produce all the time. So sometimes our goals can come from this place of like having to produce, or based on what society tells us is important, or maybe what we lack in our childhood. So, but your intuition knows exactly what you need to come into your authentic path. So it knows exactly what you need, but the logical mind is always wanting to keep us safe. It's always wanting to follow the path that it knows. Your intuition sees more, and it has more access to possibilities that are out there, rather than this narrow view of what you have seen in the past or been taught in the past. So when we begin to move towards a goal, our logical mind will kick in, right? And it will start running through this list of everything that it knows, which is only this small amount, right? So it will say, say you really want to get a new job. You're unhappy in your job. You want to move on to the next job. So your logical mind will go through, okay, well, this is the next logical step to what you do. You should just move up in this company, and that's what you should do. So it has this very narrow scope. And your intuition actually can see that there's this possibility and this possibility, and because it has access to all of these things, right? So it has a better perspective, a much better perspective. And, sometimes we can also make decisions out of our emotional mind, which might look like, I'm afraid that I won't be able to make as much money as I'm making now. So I'll just take this job that maybe you aren't really connecting with in your intuition. So that's, that is the first thing that will happen when we begin to plan, is we try to figure things out. And I'm really trying to take that that wording out of my language, because when we're trying to figure things out, we're just going through those lists of well, if I'm going to make a plan, a business plan, or a plan for my future, I'm going through this list of to-dos, of what somebody told me, of what I think is available to me, right? Like when our landlords told us that we had to move, our first thought was, well, we can't afford anything. Like we can't, we don't have a down payment. What are we going to do? We're only going to have to be able to rent like a crappy apartment or something. But my intuition kept saying, look at the possibilities. think about the possibilities, expand your vision. So your intuition will always be expanding your vision of what is possible. Another thing is that your logical mind, or your mind, is a poor judgment of timing. If you're just thinking about planning like somebody told you to, and then it leaves no room for pivoting when it comes to what you actually need, right? So I'll give you the example of my own business. So at the end of last year and the beginning of this year, I knew that I wanted to pivot and start a new business. My logical mind, my analytical mind, knew that knew that in order to create a successful business, what we've all been told is that you need to create a brand first and a website first, right? So logically, I wanted really to create a website, but my intuition knew better. And what it had me do was take step by step in making small decisions that would eventually lead up to creating that website and creating that brand. But it knew that I had to take these steps before I could actually create this website, so that my brand had more depth to it. So like there were small steps like doing workshops and collaborations, and I actually met along the way the person who would become my branding person, and we actually did a trade. So it ended up being beneficial for both of us, beneficial for the people I collaborated with, and saving me money, saving me probably time, in not wasting all this time creating a website before I wasn't ready. So I hope that makes sense, that our logical mind might think that there's a specific way, a specific plan that you need to take, but in the long run, the steps that you want to take, your intuition knows what they are, and it knows the way somehow to create coincidences, to create collaborations, to give you discounts along the way. Like all of these things that seem to just flow together, instead of you having to push and hustle and have this goal that you are working towards no matter what, even if it doesn't fit with exactly what your intuition is telling you or what you actually need. There could be emotional or mental blocks along the way that you need to work through before you can take the step that you logically think that you need to take. So there's a lot of things, there's a lot of reasons why your intuition could be leading you to the next step. But overall, it is very strategic in knowing which step goes before which next step. Your logical mind is very, very bad at that. Like I said, it doesn't have all of the information, so it can't make those decisions. Your intuition makes decisions faster, more coherently. It uses all the parts of your brain to create those decisions and lead you to the next best step. So what does this actually look like practically? A lot of times it means we break down our goals into smaller pieces. So for me in the business, it has looked like, okay, now my intuition is asking me to work on content, creating content. Right now, then next, my intuition is asking me to work on branding. Next, my intuition is having me work on processes or being more streamlined, or creating that flow of income in my business. So whatever that looks like for you, your intuition will always know, okay, what is the next step that we are breaking down this larger goal into. A lot of times we get out of flow because we are trying to achieve too much too fast, creating these large goals. I know for me, it was a combination in my past of creating goals that were too big and creating goals that were not in alignment for what I truly wanted to do or my authentic self. You know, we are living in this consumer culture where we are taught to produce and produce in a timely manner, you know, and to hustle. And so it can feel really foreign to be listening to our intuition and following our intuition. And it can feel like we're doing things slower, but in actuality, your intuition is leading you to probably be faster in the long run, but it's leading you to a deeper, more authentic self. It's leading you to a deeper foundation in your goals that's going to create longevity. I know for myself, when I didn't have a website and I didn't have a brand, I would be doing these events like workshops and podcasts, and I was like, well, I don't even have, it doesn't logically make sense. I don't even have a website to show people that is reflective of what I'm saying. But in the long run, it was exactly, you know, it didn't matter because that's what my logical mind was saying, that it matters so much. That's another thing, is that our mind thinks that certain things are more important than other things actually are. So the important thing was to create that foundation, to really create a foundation for my business. And so whatever your goal is, your intuition will lead you to this most sustainable, most authentic path. Being able to tune into the intuition is so important, and that's what I love teaching about. What I love to help you all with is really being able to hear from your intuition, okay, what is the next logical step? So if you are looking for somebody to help you to connect and to hear your intuition, please message me. I have one-on-one sessions that are amazing and will help you to connect to that intuition. And I'm teaching many workshops coming up. So please, if you enjoyed this video, like it and follow me, and keep in touch for more of these videos coming up.